not prepared. Okay. Okay, you guys, you know what? I don't know if I've told you yet this week, and I haven't because it's Monday morning. Good morning, by the way. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning.
But you in danger, girl. You are. So you need to visit forpatriots.com/chicks and check out all the discounts and all the deals because they have them. They have so many discounts and deals. You can get free shipping on orders over $97 too, which is awesome. You should do that. forpatriots.com/chicks. Do it.
When the Russian satellites, like when they take out all of our satellites, just make sure you've got some stuff to prepare.
Yeah.
You need a generator. You need
a generator. You need a generator so you can keep listening to our show, and you need to put us in your pocket. You need to make sure you subscribe to this podcast and have us like on every single day, and then put us right there in your pocket or in your fanny pack or in your backpack, wherever it is that you keep us. Okay. Subscribe. Do it.
Right there.
Do it.
In your pocket.
Yeah.
In your pocket. My name today should be fairly obvious. Who it's
such a great name.
Who it's in honor of, and we will be getting to some Charlamagne Vagod choice quotes, some juicy quotes from over the weekend. And so before we get to videos, just a couple of little quick headlines. Do you remember the red sweats guy that was pictured at the Kansas City Chiefs parade? Arrested, like he's the guy that everybody saw pictures of immediately with his hands cuffed behind his back, and he was like sort of this, I don't know if he was black or Middle Eastern looking guy.
The Middle Eastern dude. The Middle Eastern looking dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out now we know why he was arrested, and it was not because he had anything to do with the shooting. So you guys remember this picture, right?
Yes, I do.
This was like the first picture that anybody saw of anybody being arrested that day. So a lot of people immediately thought, oh, this must be the perpetrator. And it turns out that, in fact, he was detained for being drunk as a skunk.
Oh,
and
drunk.
He refused to just get out of the way of police officers. So
he
had nothing to do with the shooting, and he wants to clear his name. So I thought, well, I will help him do that. And make sure everybody knows about that.
We're going to help drunk guy clear his name.
So
he's just a drunk fool that needs to.
Just a drunk fool. That's all.
That's it. Listen, I'm sure there were a lot of drunk people there, including Travis Kelce. He was the leader, also a drunk ass fool. Up on that stage, right?
Sure.
You in danger, Taylor. You in danger.
So that's the first thing I wanted to make sure to tell everybody. Also, the second thing is that Rashida Tlaid is encouraging Michiganders to vote uncommitted in the general presidential election. She's so mad at President Biden for his stance on Israel/Hamas/Gaza, that conflict. She's so mad at him that she doesn't want Michiganders to vote for him. She wants them to stay uncommitted in the presidential election.
That makes no sense whatsoever. She's mad at Biden because Biden is not supporting terrorists.
Correct. Essentially, that's correct.
Okay. All right.
So
she's a lunatic. She's a complete lunatic. And she also didn't say, hey, rape is bad.
Right. She wouldn't say it.
She wouldn't say that.
She would not. Well, and then I listened to her little floor speech about that vote because she voted present, and she was the only one that didn't vote. Yes, that rape by Hamas terrorists is bad. She says that she voted present because the what do they call it? The resolution or whatever. The resolution wasn't inclusive of Palestinians, and it should have been a resolution that said rape and sexual assault is bad for everybody, and not just when it's committed by Hamas.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's rape. It just be, listen, rape is bad, period. So she should have been able to say it's bad for these people, even if it excluded these people over here. It's bad for these people. You can say it's bad for these people. It's just bad. Rape is bad.
You should be able to easily vote accordingly.
So essentially what she did say was, no, it's not bad for Israel.
Yeah, it's not bad when Hamas does it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, she's just a piece of work.
She's a lunatic.
Leslie L. Thank you. Leslie says, thanks to everyone that gave prayers and good vibes to my daughter and her team. They made it to the Final Four, but lost to make it to state. Oh,
but they made it to the Final Four, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to be proud of right there, Leslie L.
Totally.
Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Robin Zecca says, Texas is thinking of changing its name to Ukraine. Maybe then they'll get border support. That's probably a good idea.
Exactly. Look at my shirt. See my shirt?
Yes, love it. Love it.
Natalie.
Oh, that's the Natalie shirt. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I also love all the seafood and steaks from omahasteaks.com/chicks. And I love it even extra more now that they have decided to have a subscription service. You guys, let me just tell you about how awesome this subscription service at Omaha Steaks is. It is like no other subscription service you may be subscribed to, because you can choose the foods, change your selections at any time, choose the quantities, choose the frequency, pause the program whenever you need to, cancel at any time, and yet still, when you do a subscription option at omahasteaks.com/chicks, you're going to save an extra 10%. This is like on top of whatever discounts they may be running at any given time. You're going to get 4 free Omaha steak burgers with all of your shipments for life. Every single time you order, you will get 4 free burgers thrown in. And then this is my favorite, and this is the part that I just found out about. With every third shipment, just because they love you and want to thank you for subscribing, they will send you a free gift valued at least $19.99 or more. Every third shipment, you're going to get a surprise.
That's amazing.
Right?
I love them. And the surprise is something delicious.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so stoked about it. You have no idea how excited I am about this, because it just makes it so easy, right? So if you're like one of those, what used to be Schwann's and is now Yellow, I think.
I have no idea. Yeah.
The food I'm telling you, just cancel it and get your subscription at omahasteaks.com/chicks. It's not just about steaks, although they are phenomenal at it. It's about literally all the food. Yeah, everything.
Right.
Everything.
Dessert, sides, all the things, you guys. Delicious.
So freaking good. Anyway, omahasteaks.com/chicks. All right, let's get into the big news that happened Friday after our show, and that is that the civil trial in New York for Donald Trump ended. This is the fraud case, and it ended ridiculously with him being forced to pay like $360 million.
Doesn't even matter.
Interest.
Right.
It's just
ridiculous
nonsense. So we have a lot of reaction to get to. First, we'll listen to Ben Dominic talking about the ridiculousness. Here he is.
With the latest big story, which is this ruling that I think once you start to accrue some interest, maybe north of $400 million for President Trump and the other defendants in this case. He says it's all political and they're going to appeal.
Well, I mean, it is obviously all political, and they are going to appeal. and I think that actually, if you adopted this judge's stance toward the Trump business plan and every way that they approached these different loans, then you would really ruin real estate as a business in New York City.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is a situation where we should put any stock in the verdict, but I do think it's going to be a challenge for him to navigate, and he has a very short timeline in order to be able to find the kind of money to put up in order to continue that challenge. It's one more thing that's going to be a drag on him as he continues his campaign.
I want to put.
So then who gets the money? Who gets it?
I guess the city somehow.
Yeah. Even though they weren't the victim. Nobody was victimized.
There were no victims.
Right.
There was not a single victim.
Exactly. There wasn't. Precisely. That's what I'm trying to say. Nobody was victimized here, but they're going to get the money. Okay. So yeah. And you can't tell me, this is obviously political. And I get a little irritated.
Yes.
I get a little irritated too when I see Ben talking about this, because his wife campaigned for Biden.
Not that you're bitter or anything.
No, I'm so bitter about that. I'm admittedly bitter about it, you guys. So when he talks about it, I'm kind of like, but your wife like helped get him and all. Anyways, but this is obviously political. Everybody knows it. And this is why, like last week when we were talking about, when I was talking about revolution, and people are like, Daisy, that's just not cool. You can't say stuff about, but this is the kind of stuff that makes people get all revolution-y.
Yeah.
This is the kind of
we'll
stuff.
talk about the truckers' reaction to that, because there's been a reaction.
Yes.
And I'm so confused because, I tried to get like voices and perspectives and analysis from all the different channels, just because I am not a legal mind. I'm not a lawyer at all. And so I have no idea.
Thank God.
Really, for real. Thank God. That would have been as bad as me being an HR person. Which I was. But what I am confused about is whether he does have a good chance of getting a good ruling on appeal. Because I'm hearing messages from all over the place. Like, for example, there's this person, I don't even know who this is, because they don't show his name on the screen. But this is one talking head talking about how Letitia James used a very specific statute that doesn't require a victim in order to bring this case, and that it's like fairly airtight. And so I don't know if this is true or not. I just want everybody to like hear all the perspectives. Here is this dude.
Thank John.
We just heard the Attorney General essentially saying that, interest is going to accrue every day until it is paid. But while it is appealed, does that actually happen? I mean, would they pile on more interest?
Well, it depends on what the appellate court says, honestly. And they will ask to suspend that, and we'll see what they say. One editorial, which is obvious and unfortunate. I mean, this was a public official who ran on a platform, as you guys said, of getting a particular person. That's trouble. That's troubling. That's like the old high school social studies, the bill of attainder, singling somebody out. So, and then just now you can see the anger. This will accrue every day. So, she is really, she's easily exposed as driving a political agenda here. But we'll see, because she used a technical statute that doesn't require loss, by the way. That's important to note. So, again, we'll see how it plays out on appeal.
I mean, listen, New York is like a rat-infested urine pit at this point. And I hope it dries up. I hope that people will see, because what's his name? Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. You guys know him. I actually like that guy. And he was on Fox over the weekend talking about this. And people like him, real estate investors, actual business people are looking at this going like WTF.
Right.
And so, it's not just Trump who's obviously being forced out of New York, which he should have been out of there anyway. But other people are looking at this and going, this is insane. And they're going to leave. And I hope they do. I hope that people just flee that disgusting city. I hope everybody just says bye. Everybody with a brain in their head. I hope that they leave that city, and that city is just dry. I hope that it just implodes upon itself.
Well, and Kathy Hochul even had to come out and be like, it's fine. I promise this won't happen to anybody else but Trump, essentially. Okay. Which also was a weird message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You think that's weird? Yeah. It's like, we're only after Trump. Okay. I mean, I just hope they all flee. Anybody.
And now, it's not even just about the money, but it's about the bans for 3 years for Donald Trump to have any ownership or control over his business, in 2 years, I think, or 1 year. Is it 1 year or 2 year for the Suns? I can't remember. I think it's one. And I think you'll hear it in this next clip. It's about them being banned from business as well.
Of course, in addition to the $364 million, there are bans. And of course, we already knew that Alan Weisselberg might be on the hook. He had already been the subject of some alleged fraudulent conduct. So you have overwhelming evidence found by the judge, that Alan Weisselberg and Jeffrey McConney cannot be entrusted with controlling the finances of any business. They were permanently enjoined, that means banned from serving in the financial control function of any New York corporation. Similar bans on Donald Trump, Alan Weisselberg, and Jeffrey McConney for a period of 3 years, and that's serving as an officer or director of any New York corporation or any other legal entity, which really leaves in limbo what is to be done with the Trump entities, because not only are these business organizations, they also have substantial assets. So the question now arises, who steps in or what steps in to control those companies and control those assets. But a very significant finding, $364 million is pretty close to the asking dollar amount of the plaintiff in this case, the plaintiff, of course, being the state of New York through New York's attorney general.
And Laura, what happens?
It's interesting to me because we saw the stuff that happened with Putin, killing that guy, or presumably killing that guy over the weekend, right? How is this? I want to say, how is this different? Obviously, he's not. Biden and friends can't kill Trump, right? This is like the next best thing.
I mean, knock wood, honestly, because at this point, it's the only thing they haven't done.
They act like, it's such gaslighting and projection on the Democrats' part. This is literally a step below just flat out killing Trump. I'm just putting it out there. Everybody knows it. We all see it, right? This is so the audacity of these people to point fingers and be like, oh my God, Putin is he's the worst. He is. That guy is a dictatorial dick, right? But I mean, but at the same time, we've got an administration here doing what they're doing to Trump, and it's literally one step below. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. We see it, right? Am I the only person that is seeing this?
No. This is freaking bonkers.
It's
what's
bonkers.
happening?
It's absolutely bonkers because they're like, well, we can't kill him, so let's do this.
Yeah, let's do all the other things.
Right.
And again, because I do not have any kind of law expertise, I genuinely do not know if this will be overturned on appeal. This person doesn't seem to think it will be.
Charles, the judge described Trump as a terrible witness, writing, quote, in his ruling, his refusal to answer the questions directly or in some cases at all severely compromised his credibility. Does Trump have any chance of overturning this decision on appeal?
No, and I think that the reason that Engoron took the time that he did to write a decision that he did was because he wanted to essentially appeal-proof it. One of the things that was on the table for conversation, Jonathan, was this notion of the corporate death penalty. People were wondering, was Engoron going to make a decision to strip Donald Trump of being able to ever do business in New York again? And I said at that point, no, I don't think he's going to do so because that would likely have exposed him to a likely appeal and reversal. We know that Donald Trump is going to create some grounds for appeal here, although very few exist. But the way that this opinion is written, it is so airtight that I do not believe that he's left any room on the table, the judge that is, for a reversal for Donald Trump to see anything different other than perhaps a reduction in the amount. But in terms of a complete reversal of the findings, absolutely not.
People are like, oh my God, MSNBC. What did I just say, you guys? I literally just said, I am going to all kinds of different news stories to hear the different perspectives. If you don't want to do that, you are literally a ostrich with your head in the sand. You need to know what other people who actually have legal backgrounds are saying instead of just being like, Trump's going to win on appeal and not actually understanding anything about the case. I'm trying to bring you all the perspectives, okay? That's all I'm doing. So don't yell at me for playing MSNBC when I just got done explaining why I'm doing it. What the hell? My God. And I'm going to play other perspectives too. Like, for example, Jason Chaffetz. You guys are probably all fine with Jason Chaffetz, right? I'm trying to make sure that everybody
there will be somebody who's not fine. There's going to be somebody who's not fine, Knox. So just brace yourself.
God, you guys are out of control. Here is Jason.
One more question for you, Charles, because the judge said he found former Trump attorney Michael.
Said this?
Oh, this is not good business for New York or New York City. To your point, there is no victim in this case. There's nobody that got harmed by this. Deutsche Bank, who's the main lender, said, we don't have a problem with Donald Trump. This city, New York City, will be much worse off without Donald Trump. He did so much philanthropically. He did so much to develop the city, put a brand to this city. And they're scaring him off. They're going to scare others off. It is so fundamentally wrong. This should be overturned on appeal. It's a ridiculous sum. $350+ million for what?
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
Let it implode. Let it implode.
For real.
Let it just dissolve for all I care. It's just that place is gross anyway. I've never liked it. Seriously, let it get what it deserves at this point.
And by the way, what would happen? Okay, so if Trump himself can't control things for 3 years and the kids can't either, could somebody, whoever they determine is the right person to take over the company in the meantime, could that person say, we're going to move this business to Florida? We're going to move the whole damn thing. We're going to move all the hotels. We're going to move everything. We're going to fully divest from New York City completely. And you guys can suck it. And all the employees will lose their jobs. All of that money will leave the economy.
Totally, they can do that. They absolutely can do that. They can.
That's what they should do.
Yeah, I mean, any LLC can move its headquarters, move everything to another state. That's why a lot of people go to Delaware. You
and
know?
now they're not because of what they did to Elon.
Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, that's of course they can move, which I'm sure that they'll just take all their crap. The thing that sucks is that it's not just he's not just an entity, like a corporate entity. He has buildings there.
Yeah.
He is a real estate guy. So that's why it's like they've literally kicked him in the nuts, like over and over again. They've kicked the whole family right in the nuts.
Yeah.
So it sucks. But it sucks for New York because just for the reason that we just heard, because he helped build that city. He did good things for that city. And they're like, well, screw you. We don't care if you did good things for the city. We're going to go ahead and kick you in the nuts regardless. I mean, so I hope they get what they deserve, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I really do.
Serious karma in this case, for sure.
Exactly. And I really feel like there will be. Because that city already is devolving. I mean, look at it. It's already devolving. You start doing this to real estate investors because he's one, but he's a big one. And all these other people are watching, and you watch and see what happens. People will start pulling out of that city. And I hope that happens. And you know what? Let them get what they deserve. And
it
that
just
may sound
because if he doesn't win on appeal, he will have to pay that ridiculous sum, and then New York City will be like, we don't need you anymore because we've got all your money anyway. You know what I mean? It just makes me so mad. God, it makes me so mad. Curio 23, thank you. He says Banana Republic type stuff. Yeah, it absolutely is.
It is. This is communism. This is I mean, it's what you see in third world countries, and then Democrats have the audacity to scream about Putin. It's like, okay, all right.
Vince from WMAL was talking to Shannon Bream in that same panel that Ben Dominic was in about what he's hearing from people that are calling his radio show.
Callers to your radio station saying.
Well, they're seeing what I'm seeing, which is that a lot of this is just the expression of snarling tyranny happening all across the country because you have elements of the left that are controlling the levers of power inside of these criminal justice systems, who are furious at the idea that Trump could be elected based on the voter support, what Julia was just talking about, this idea voters do support him right now over Biden. And so what the left is banking on is that they can tell voters, actually, this guy's a convict. We've seen Joe Biden, some reporting that Joe Biden is upset that Merrick Garland hasn't accelerated the timetable more quickly to secure a conviction of Donald Trump ahead of the election. This very week, you see Jack Smith begging the Supreme Court to move more quickly, implicitly, because he wants to do it ahead of the election. And this is very dangerous for this country, that our system is being used in such a cartoonishly tyrannical way.
Well, and that...
Look at this from Scott Adams. I thought this was so interesting that each of these cases targets a different demographic. Like Democrats are covering all their bases. So they had E. Jean Carroll, the sex hoax for the ladies. They had the race hoax for Black voters, the Russia hoax for the older generation, and the serial felon hoax for people who don't understand how banks or free speech work. Right. And I was like, wow, that's a really interesting way to look at it. For sure.
And accurate. Very accurate. Something? Yeah.
So again, since I don't know anything about the law or how this will all play out, you heard that one judge on MSNBC say there's no way this is going to be overturned on appeal. And then we have Alan Dershowitz with a whole different take, which is why I don't know what to think about any of it.
And these 4 cases that have been generated against him are among the weakest and most flawed cases I've ever seen. The New York case, which is going to be the first one tried, is laughable. It's not a felony. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a federal case. It's not a state case. It's a completely made up case. And now we have the case in Georgia, which is falling apart. The only criminal case that should exist in Georgia is whether or not Fani Willis and her boyfriend should be indicted for perjury for lying to the court and lying in affidavits about the nature and the starting time of their romantic relationship. And as far as the case involving the classified material, my God, the classified material case is the same case that the special prosecutor refused to bring against the president of the United States. You can't have a double standard. You can't have
one.
classification cases brought against one person running who's the incumbent and the other person who's running who's not the incumbent. You have to have a single standard, and we don't have a single standard.
No,
so I think
we don't.
all of the 4 cases, every single one of the 4 cases is deeply flawed, but they're designed to influence the election. The purpose is to get down and dirty convictions like the one in New York. New York, they'll convict a ham sandwich if its name is Trump, and then it'll be reversed on appeal, but that'll be too late. It'll be after the election. This is really election interference.
Yeah, it's election interference.
Yeah.
And anybody that tells you otherwise is a Democrat. They're loving this. And then again, they will say, oh my God, democracy is at stake. Screw you. Oh my God, you are so gaslighting me. Like it's so obvious what you're doing. It's crazy.
I just banned somebody for calling me, for saying if she doesn't know what she thinks about this, she's dumb. So you don't get to say that to me during like my own show.
Oh my God.
So bye. But the reason I'm saying I don't know what to think about it is because I don't know what to think about it from a legal perspective. I have no idea what the appeals court is going to do.
You don't have to explain yourself to that person. My
That's
God.
true. I don't.
You don't.
I don't.
God.
Alina Habba, who is Trump's attorney, of course, as we all know, is hopping mad, as you might expect. And she is promising the karma that you are saying is going to happen. Man, I hope both of you are right, because this is out of control.
I think the biggest message I can give the American people tonight is that he's not going to get away with it. Letitia James is not going to get away with it. The Biden administration is not going to get away with it. There is a point, and I want to say something that different than I normally do. We have the order now. I'm free to speak. And let me just say, as somebody who sat there in the trial, Sean, and I'm so happy you invited me on to say this, they will not get away with it. We will come at them. We will come hard, and we will literally fight until the truth comes out. There was nothing wrong. President Trump has done nothing wrong.
Hey, folks. I agree with her. I mean,
I hope so, man.
Karma's fight. She's a real bitch, and she's coming. You know
where is she?
I know. I always tell you that. You always say that. And sometimes it takes a long time, but the truth always comes out. It just does, you know? And the truth may be in the form of us fighting back. That's what I mean. The truth may be in the form of us just being so fed up that people actually get off their butts and go to the polls and overwhelm the system. That may be the karma. I don't know, but karma will win. I promise you. It's like, it will. I just believe in that. I do. I have to believe. Maybe it's weird that I'm the optimist now. It's so weird that you're the pessimist. It's just bizarre. That is the case.
Maybe she's arriving in the form of truckers, because as we mentioned, there are some truckers out there who are like, I'm not delivering anything to New York City. They can suck it. I'm sick and tired of what they're doing to Donald Trump. This is absolutely outrageous and wrong. And so hope they don't need any goods and services, because we're not trucking them.
I love this.
So here is one of those truckers right now. Hide your kids, hide your wives, because he's angry.
Chicago Ray. I've been on the radio talking to drivers for about the last hour 15 minutes. And I'm talking to at least 10 drivers going the other way. I'm heading down from South Wisconsin. And they're going to start refusing loads in New York City starting on Monday. All right? I got about 3 drivers that I drive with. They already vibrated the boss and told them they ain't going to New York City. So, I don't know how far across the country this is, or how many truckers are going to start denying loads to going to New York City. But I'll tell you what, you fuck around and find out. Okay? We're tired of you motherfucking leftists fucking with Trump. Okay? You know, motherfuckers are starting to get tired of this shit. And you know, our bosses ain't gonna care if we deny the loads. We'll just go somewhere else. Alright? You know how fucking hard it is to get into New York City with one of these motherfuckers?
It's true.
Man, fuck that.
Yeah, it's true.
Alright?
Yeah. I've driven one of those big trucks.
You have?
Yeah, our friends have. I mean, maybe not like I've driven like one of those gigantic like semi trucks, as our friends have one, and I had a bunch of like cattle in the back. They're hard to drive, you guys. Like
I had no idea you'd never done that.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for those truckers. A lot of respect. Like I can't imagine being in a city, like driving one of those on country roads and then on like a major highway is one thing, but when you have to get into a city, like I don't know how those guys do it. I just don't. Like that is something that I would never ever want to do. So if they don't have to do it, I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, screw this. I would never ever do that. Like I hope that they actually stick to it and they don't do it. And I don't want to wish harm on innocent people. I don't want to wish that these people don't have goods and the things that they need on a daily basis. But if that sends a message, I karma, you know what I mean? It's karma.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't know. I mean, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer on this idea, but I am being that because my husband was that to me because I was all excited about seeing that video and I was like, look what the truckers are doing. This is amazing. And he was like, you don't think there's other truckers who are going to immediately pick up those routes and probably get paid a lot more money because there's other people that won't do it now? There's so many truckers who, and by the way, their union supports Biden. So,
which is outrageous.
It is. It's completely outrageous.
Why did
It's outrageous on every level.
That's a whole other conversation. But why? It's like, what? My God. It's like, by the way, it's like, yeah, because Biden is that administration is taking jobs away from those people. So just, it's all outrageous.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But what's not outrageous is doing the right thing for your dogs.
Dogs.
And doing the right thing for your dogs means making sure that they're getting all of their extra nutritional supplements that they need. And they can get all of that in this fantastic green powder that brings their dry kibble to life. This was created by naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, who is an expert on all things dog nutrition. This green powder, you just take a scoopful, sprinkle it over their food, mix it all up. They love it. And it has all the essential vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and digestive enzymes that your doggos need to live their longest, healthiest lives. And don't take it just from me. You can take it from Scott from Anchorage, who wrote, "Our pooch has been sick since he was a puppy with thyroid and arthritis issues. The biggest improvement seen after taking Ruff Greens is his coat. It is so soft and he doesn't shed nearly as much. Yay. He seems to have more energy and we haven't had to have a monthly allergy shot yet. So that is all good stuff. Plus, he seems to really like the Ruff Greens and never sticks his nose up when it's chow time. Thanks." It is amazing. My girls love it. I know your doggos love it.
Oh my God. Theo like goes crazy for it.
They also have these.
Oh, I know. And they love the Ruff Chews too. They love those.
Treats. I mean, they've got
They're
all
great
the
for
things.
puppies. They're really great for puppies too. If you don't want to give puppies treats, you can give them the Ruff Chews and you can feel good about them digesting those.
Mm-hmm. So you can try it for free and see what your dogs think of it. See if you notice a difference. You get a free trial bag at ruffchicks.com. That's RUFF chicks.com. Try it out. I promise that your dogs will love it. And then you will love their not so horrible breath anymore. And there's a lot of good benefits from Ruff Greens. So check it out. ruffchicks.com. Shelly, thank you. Shelly says, "Mock, we love you. Daisy, we love you. Thank you for watching all the jackwads for us and saving our sanity. Happy President's Day and God bless America." Happy President's Day right back
Happy
at
President's Day.
Kim Donaldson, thank you. Kim says, "Remember Deuce, the boyfriend her dad mentioned?" Deuce, the boyfriend her dad. He worked at Fulton County Superior Court 21 years. I don't know who we're talking about.
No. I don't need, but thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry we got this a little too late because that was like 5 minutes ago and I don't remember what we were talking about 5 minutes ago. You mentioned earlier the death of Alexei Navalny. And so everybody rightly across the world is like, we see what you did, Putin.
Totally.
We see you.
Yeah.
Anthony Blinken was in Munich when he got the news, and it wasn't even 100% for sure yet when he made this comment about it.
One man only underscores the weakness and rot at the heart of the system that Putin has built. Russia's responsible for this. We'll be talking to the many other countries concerned about Alexei Navalny, especially if these reports bear out to be true.
They bear out. They do bear out. So they are true. And it was interesting to see this flashback of Joe Biden back in, I think, 2021, being asked by a reporter, hey, so what happens with Russia if Navalny dies in prison? Then what? What are you going to do? And here's Biden back then.
Mr. President, just a quick follow on the same theme of consequences. You said just now that you spoke to him a lot about human rights. What did you say would happen if opposition leader Alexei Navalny dies?
I made it clear to him that I believe the consequences of that would be devastating for Russia. I'll go back to the same point. What do you think happens when he's saying it's not about hurting Navalny, all the stuff he says to rationalize the treatment of Navalny, and then he dies in prison? I pointed out to him that it matters a great deal.
Okay.
Nothing will happen. There's no consequences. He's Mr. Red Line with no red line,
That's the thing.
The line is like pink all the time.
And so when he goes up to speak at the podium about it, he ends up just bitching about Trump and the comments that Trump made last week about NATO. And then in the middle of him obsessing over Trump, his brain broke mid-sentence again. Here's that moment.
We have to realize what we're dealing with Putin. All of us should reject the dangerous statements made by the previous president that invited Russia to invade our NATO allies if they weren't paying up. He said if an ally did not pay their dues, he'd encourage Russia to, quote, do whatever the hell they want.
It's breaking. His brain is breaking right now.
I guess I should clear my mind here a little bit and not say what I'm really thinking. But let me be clear. This is an outrageous thing for a president to say. I can't fathom. Can't fathom. From Truman on, they're rolling over in their graves hearing this. As long as I'm president, America stands by our sacred commitment to our NATO allies, as they have stood by their commitments to us repeatedly. Putin and the whole world should know, if any adversary were to attack us, our NATO allies would back us. And if Putin were to attack a NATO ally, the United States will defend every inch of NATO territory.
Yeah, and what is Biden doing to his opposition leader? What's he doing? That's a
great point.
Let's all take a look at what he's done over the past, couple weeks. And really just in the past, 4 days. What has he done to his opposition leader? Is he that much better than Putin? I'm so sick of getting lectured by this guy who's crapping his pants on stage as he does it. Seriously, I'm sick of getting lectured about how we're so much better in this country. He's so much better than Putin when he's not. He's not that much better. If you look at
and why is it wrong for Trump to say NATO countries need to pay up? Right. There are dues required to be part of NATO. If you're not paying the dues, you don't get to be part of NATO.
Right.
That's how dues work. I don't get it. Why is this hard?
You can't say that.
Why?
You can't.
Why can't we say that?
Yeah. But you can make life a living hell for your opposition leader, apparently. Mm-hmm. What in the world? Yeah, it's like somebody just said, he's clutching his pearls over this, but yet he's doing almost the same thing as what Putin does. He's just one step below it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sick of the lecture.
Calm 911 chick, thank you. She says, good morning, COTR fam. Please pray for my 83-year-old mom, 4 times boosted, who is in hospital with the video.
With what?
With the vid. I'm gonna guess she meant vid and it just auto corrected to video. Since she mentioned the booster.
Okay.
So she's in the hospital and multiple blood clots in her lungs. Love the chicks. Oh my gosh. Yes. Please pray for her. Very sorry to hear that. And Hot Luke, thank you. Hot Luke says, why do we care about Alexei Navalny? We have our own political prisoners from January 6th. Putin's not thinking about us.
Right.
It's a fair point.
I mean, there are
right.
Hostages. Yeah.
Jose said, quit late payment shaming, Mock.
How dare you?
How dare I?
Uh-huh.
All right. And then from that same presser that Biden was giving, someone asked him about this whole, Russian threat that we heard about last week, where Mike Turner came out with that statement, scared everybody and sent everybody into a panic. And, I think America in general looks to their president to get some reassurance when there's some news like that. They want to hear, do they have reason to be concerned? When it's President Biden, you have every reason to be concerned because he's useless and because nothing he said assuages anybody's fears. In fact, I was like super freaked out after listening to him say this.
How concerned are you about the anti-satellite capability that Russia is developing? And what is your administration planning to do in response?
First of all, there is no nuclear threat to the people of America or anywhere else in the world with what Russia is doing at the moment, number one. Number two, anything that they're doing or they will do relates to satellites and space and damaging those satellites potentially. Number three, there is no evidence that they have made a decision to go forward with doing anything in space either. So what we found out, there was a capacity to launch a system into space that could theoretically do something that was damaging. Hadn't happened yet, and my hope is it will not.
Okay,
He hopes it won't. He hopes it won't.
I mean, it's just happening somewhere in space, you guys, so it's fine.
It's not like our entire world runs off of the satellites that are in space.
It's just in space. You don't have to think about it because it's out there in space.
Oh my God. I'm more paranoid than ever now because that's always been my big fear.
Oh my
right?
God.
Is that
Yeah.
there's like EMPs and power outages
and the grid and all that kind. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's fine. Everybody, it's fine. It's totally fine. You feel better, everybody?
Yeah, did that make you feel better?
Oh my God.
He hopes that they don't do anything. Okay, that's great. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's just out there going, don't. Don't.
That's his message.
Uh-huh.
Don't you do it. Don't.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a fellow from the Pentagon who was on Fox to talk about Mike Turner's kind of alarmist statement that kind of got this whole conversation going. And he was confused about the motive behind Turner's actions. Here he is to talk about that.
And it's really quite curious, the timing and the nature in which this information was put out to the public.
Well, are you saying that maybe the Republicans are onto something when they accuse Mike Turner of having a hair on fire moment over this because he's trying to pick up the pace of sending money to Ukraine?
I'm not sure about that. It's just very unusual for something like this that's highly sensitive, classified, for it to be put out so quickly. And we do know there was some coordination. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I've heard there's some theories about it, but it would be best for Representative Turner to come out and kind of say why the timing and why the urgency. And I think he can do that without crossing thresholds of classification.
So he did. And it kind of makes sense to me, you guys, the reasons that Mike Turner gives for being alarmist. I mean, my takeaway is that he wants the administration to finally do something. They've known about this threat for a while, and he's like, how come nobody's doing anything? So he felt like he had to go public just to light the fire. And if that's true, then maybe he was right to do it. Here he is explaining.
It is very serious. Everyone who's looked at it uses the same language that I have, that it is a very serious threat. I'm very glad that the administration is beginning to take action. We met with Jake Sullivan, and he began to lay out a plan that hopefully would begin to address this. I understand that Secretary Blinken here at Munich met with leaders from China and India, according to how the New York Times is reporting. That certainly would be an important big step to try to avert this.
President Biden has said this is not a nuclear threat, though. Do you agree with that assessment? How should people be viewing this?
Well, I can't confirm or deny this. What I have called for is for the administration to declassify this. My concern is that this is kind of like the Chinese spy balloon, and the administration is kind of hiding, perhaps some inaction. But as this becomes more and more public, and the administration grapples with what we're dealing with, I think they are going to be taking it seriously. I think they will be taking action, and that obviously is
the goal. Is what he said at the end.
So much ineptness in this administration that there are people that are we have leaders who are having to go out and scream at the top of their lungs and say, you guys, something's going on here. Like, I have to tell the public, the American public, about it just so I can get this administration to do something about it. I mean, It reminds me, it's like the border. right? I mean, I don't not believe this guy. It's based simply on the fact that we had 3 years of a border crisis and this administration was like, the border's secure, the border's secure, the border's secure. So I don't not believe him. I mean, honestly, I don't, because of that. And there's so many other things too, where they act like everything's fine, nothing's wrong here, nothing to see. They lie about everything. So, who do you believe in this case? I mean, if somebody says, Daisy, are you going to believe this administration? Or are you going to believe Turner? I probably believe Turner because
it sounds plausible, right? That he was like, they're not doing anything. But the second things become public and the media grabs onto the story, then all of a sudden the White House their hand is forced and they have to do things, whether or not they're behind the scenes. Something is being done now, and he seems relieved by that, which makes me feel a little bit more relieved by it.
A total disaster.
Oh my God. It's just the most inept
so inept
administration ever.
Yeah.
The worst. Anastasia 63 says, Mock, you in trouble, girl.
Yeah.
Don't I know it?
I swear.
All right, let's get into sneakers, because this is again, one of the things on the internet that you're like, I don't know what to believe because there are so many conflicting stories out here. So first things first, you need to know that Trump has launched a new sneaker brand. It's a gold high top. You can see him holding it in that picture, right? And so they cost $399.
Okay.
Allegedly, they were made in China for $20. So he's making quite a profit on them because he's very business savvy, as we know. And so this ostensibly would help him pay some of these exorbitant, fines that he's been handed down. So this is the first thing that you need to know, is that he launched these sneakers. And then they apparently there was an auction for one autographed pair. And this fellow is the guy that won the auction. Here he is.
All right, so, of course I got something to say. Trump, Proud moment.
So what was your winning bid?
$9.
And let's see the signature. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
$9,000 he paid for his signed sneakers.
He'll probably get a lot more money for those like 10, 20 years down the road. So it was probably a good investment, don't you think?
Not a terrible investment, I don't think. I mean, I think that was probably wise. And even Kanye commented saying, this made me smile when he saw the sneaker thing.
Well, I mean, it's brilliant. I think the sneakers, they're having a moment. If you guys have teenagers, or, I don't know if you even just get on social media at all, sneakers are having a moment right now. They're kind of big. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not into sneakers, but my kid loves sneakers. They're a thing. So listen, Trump has a pulse on culture. He understands what works and what doesn't work. I mean, he's a savvy businessman, so he knows what he's doing here. I think this was brilliant. I think Biden could take notes and he could come out with a line of bedazzled adult diapers or something,
No one would ever buy Biden merch. Have you ever seen anybody wear Biden merch ever?
He could call them Biden buddies. It could be adult diapers with bling on them, blinged out. But I know. Well, there's a market for it, maybe. But the thing is, Trump is brilliant when it comes to this stuff. He just knows how to do it, and I applaud him for this. He
is a successful brand. There's no denying that. There's no denying that at all. But yeah, I would not wear those. Gold is not my color.
You're more of a silver girl. It's not in your color wheel to wear gold.
Right.
But even if it was, I don't think that you would be a gold sneaker kind of girl. But I'm not really into the sneakers either. But I do think that this is a brilliant move on his part. Plus, the guy has legal bills to pay.
Yeah, he does.
So
he does indeed. And so, interestingly, he decided to make an appearance at ShoeCon. At ShoeCon, there's a convention for these kinds of sneakers. So he made an appearance at it, and I was like, so I read about the headlines first, that he was showing up at a complete non-political, ostensibly non-partisan event, right? These are just people who love shoes,
right?
And so this is not a political thing, and he decided to show. And then I started reading all these headlines that he was booed off the stage, with this following clip being the one that everybody was referencing. I'll show you this first.
Wow. A lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion in this room. Thank you. So nice. So the really nice thing is we have lines, and I want to thank Chase and I want to thank Alan, but we
Okay, so you heard that, right?
I heard it.
Great.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, that's bad. But then I saw another clip from that same event of some woman in the audience who he referenced who was crying. She was so excited to see him. And he was like, oh my God, you're crying. I love you too. And he brought her on the stage and she was like losing her mind and going, we need you, vote Trump. Blah. And like, so she was super, super excited. And then I saw this clip of him entering the stage. You tell me if this sounds like booze.
Booing? No. Yeah, that's what I saw. People were going crazy. They were so excited.
Right?
They were so excited.
I don't understand it. And then the exit, just one more. I'll show you what happened when he was leaving too.
Yeah. Look at him go. He's so happy.
That does not sound like a booing sort of crowd.
Not an angry crowd. Pretty happy crowd. Like, and could Biden do that? Let's get real.
No way.
No, there's no freaking way that would even happen. If Biden came out, he'd be like, he'd be shuffling. He wouldn't even know where to go. He'd be crapping his pants. He'd be like, where's my ice cream? And then they'd have to tell him where to go. And nobody would be screaming USA. Nobody would be cheering. It would be completely, nobody would care. And so, yeah, night and day. And I think I think that one clip, because I saw that too on Twitter yesterday, and I'm like, I think it was either, I don't know if it was doctored or if they had like a certain moment that they got, like they picked out and they plucked out and they're like, he's getting booed off the stage. But you look at every other clip and he's not.
Right. This is why I was just like, I don't know what's happening, but
like,
I'll just show everybody both and you guys can decide. Because
I think it was like one of those good try media sort of things where I think people were excited to see him.
Yeah. Well, there's also another clip that sort of got some virality over the weekend, and Trump was at an actual rally this time talking about E. Jean, but I think he's figured out a way to talk about her without getting himself sued for a third time by her.
God. Yeah.
So he's simply not naming her. Now, whether this keeps him off the hook, I don't know, but this is how he's talking about her now.
2 weeks ago, a woman, I'm saying, who the hell is she? Who is the woman? It's so unfair what's happening in our country. Our court system is a mess. What's happening in our country, they have to straighten it out.
Yeah. So he just refers to a woman.
A woman. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there were a lot of people who were commenting and tagging E. Jean Carroll saying, you need to sue him again. You need to sue him again.
Oh, like crying out loud. He could be talking about anybody. These people are batshit. God.
Right?
I swear.
I know. It's insane.
Just give it a rest. I swear. This just further proves that we are like careening toward. We are a communist country now. Like these people are out of control. Just stop it. Leave them alone.
Yeah, and actually, if you guys have not listened to the interview that Tucker Carlson did with Mike Benz about how this has been years in the making. The way that censorship has happened in this country, the way that opponent speech or dissident speech has been squelched. It is a eye-opener. This guy is so knowledgeable about the topic. So if you haven't listened to that yet, highly encourage you to. Cindy Sanford, thank you. Cindy says, prayers for my 3-year-old granddaughter who will have her second kidney transplant next week. Oh my gosh. She is a sassy, tough chicklet. Oh my gosh.
God bless her.
Second kidney. Oh my gosh.
Guys,
yes.
prayers for
oh
her.
My gosh. Wow. All right, let's get to the reason for my name today. Charlamagne the God was on, what is it? Is it Meet the Press with the Jonathan Karl? Is that his show? Meet the Press?
I don't know.
So he had some interesting things to say about Biden. Now, of course, he's going to vote for Biden.
Right.
There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a lot of criticism for him, too. And in fact, he was asked about whether or not when he criticizes Biden, does he hear from the White House? And the answer is actually yes.
Oh my gosh.
Which he finds completely inappropriate.
You get blowback from the White House because you, even now in this conversation, you're very tough on Biden. So when you say something critical, do you hear from him?
Yeah, and I think that's the stupidest ever because I think that I'm sorry, I forgot.
But we can bleep that out.
Yeah, because I feel like you should be able to criticize whoever your elected official is, right? And even if I do criticize them, I'm criticizing them because of what I see coming up in November. I see what we're facing. So what I'm saying to them is, where is the sense of urgency? You can't keep saying that there's a threat to democracy, and democracy as we know it is going to be gone, but not act like it. And the other problem is they've always done this with every single Republican candidate. Since I've been alive, whoever the Republican presidential candidate has been, they've demonized. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's John McCain. It doesn't matter if it was, Mitt Romney. It doesn't matter who it is. They will demonize the Republican candidate. And now that there's an actual legitimate threat right there in our faces, they're like the party who cried wolf. Nobody believes them.
Again, I'm sensing a theme. You sensing a theme here?
I'm sensing a little bit of a theme.
Yeah. So he dared to say something bad about Biden in the White House, and the White House calls him. So again, tell me how bad Putin is, you guys.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me how bad he is. Because listen, it smells a lot like that when I hear this stuff. Because this is America. That shit should not be happening. Just putting it out there.
It
shouldn't be happening.
And to his point about how the Democrats are the Peter cries wolf sort of party, because it doesn't matter who is running against the Democrat. They say that person is a threat to democracy, threat to democracy, threat to democracy. So he's like, nobody's going to believe you. And yet he genuinely believes Trump is a threat to democracy. And so now he's pissed off that like now those words don't mean anything because Democrats constantly say them. And so Carl pushed back a little bit and said, well, but Biden is trying to do that. And Charlamagne is like, yeah, but he sucks at it.
I mean, Biden does make that an issue over and over again. I mean, he constantly talks about that. Why is it not resonating?
Well, he's just an uninspiring candidate. Like, there's nothing about, Joe Biden that makes you want to listen to him. That's why he should be leaning on, his vice president, Kamala Harris, who's way more charismatic than him. He should be leaning on, other surrogates like, Gavin Newsom or, Shapiro in Pennsylvania. Like, he should be leaning on people who are more inspiring than him, who are more charismatic than him, and he should just be, I guess, if you want to call it, the brains of the operation behind the scenes. Like, that sounds crazy that we're saying that about a president of the United States of America, but he has no main character energy.
Oh my God. And Kamala does.
I know.
And Kamala is smarter than him and more charismatic. Okay. Charlamagne the God. All right. Whatever.
Well, and lastly, Jonathan Karl asks him about the threat of a third-party candidate. And of course, there's more than one. There's Cornel West, which he has the potential of stripping votes away from Biden. And there's RFK Jr. And Charlamagne he's like, that's Democrats' own fault.
Democrats are really worried about third-party candidates. They're really worried about this whole new labels movement. I mean, they're really concerned that Cornel West could peel off some votes in a few states and be divided. What's your sense of that?
That's their fault. Because if
Whose fault?
That's the Democrats' fault. Because if Democrats were doing what they, are supposed to be doing, especially for their base, right? Which is black women a lot of times, not a lot of times, majority of the time. Like I think over 90% of black women vote for Democrats, and like 80-something% of black men. If you were taking care of your base, you wouldn't have those issues. If Democrats were doing what they were supposed to be doing for the American people, they wouldn't have those issues. None whatsoever. Like, so to me, whenever you're concerned about a third party, it's because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing for your base.
What have the Democrats done for black women? What have they done for you, black women?
Right?
What have they done for you, black men? What have they done for you? Like, they could not answer.
Name a thing.
Right. It's so infuriating.
Yeah. Speaking of third-party candidates, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Was at Hillsdale College to give a talk, and he listed 3 takeaways at the end of his speech, which I thought were really, 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 really good.
Yeah, they were.
And so here is that third-party candidate.
3 thoughts. One is that any power that government takes from the people, it will never return voluntarily. Number 2 rule. Every power that government takes, it will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. And number 3, nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. The only thing we can do is resist. Thank you all very much.
He is absolutely right on all three of those points.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now there are people who saw that and he's at Hillsdale, which is another point that we all need to kind of take away from that, which, that's where like Trump should be at Hillsdale. Like people, our side of the aisle should be going to places like Hillsdale because that's where the Republican kids are. You know what I mean? So I found it interesting that he went to Hillsdale because he's trying to court those kids. And he's doing a damn good job because those 3 points, he was dead on. But like a lot of people push back and they're like, but he wants to take all of our guns, which I mean, I hear you because in the past, I mean, he's been a little back and forth on the gun thing. But like last June, he was on, I think it was a Twitter space. Like Elon had some Twitter space and he referred to himself as a constitutional absolutist. And he said that he doesn't think that school shootings are, he thinks that school shootings are a result of pharmaceuticals. And so he has said, I will not take your guns away. This is what he said. Do I believe him? I don't know. I don't know about this guy. But he is going to try to pull right-wingers away. He is a threat. I'm just putting that out there. He's a threat.
Oh my God, without question.
So that is something like when they start debating, if we see that, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Yeah. I completely agree. And, he's not a spring chicken, but he's certainly a heck of a lot younger than the other two candidates.
Right.
And he's somebody that I think, despite the fact that in the past people have seen him as sort of fringe because of his views on vaccines, the more you listen to him talk about vaccines, the fringeness is what the media has portrayed. He is not fringe. He simply wants vaccines to have more rigorous testing, which I don't see as a problem. But all of his kids are vaccinated. He's not anti-vax. And so the fact that people have painted him that way is not fair. And I think the more people learn about him, they're going to see him. There's going to be a lot of people who see him as a reasonable, not extreme version between Joe Biden, who they see as extreme, and Trump, who they see as extreme. There's going to be a whole faction of people who are like, I want somebody other than the two old guys. And that's why he's a threat.
Yeah. And he's like a jacked up kangaroo,
And he's a jacked up kangaroo.
He's a jacked up kangaroo, dude.
He needs Socrates, but he's a jacked up kangaroo. No, I'm just kidding. I know he has a neurological disorder.
He can't help it. I know everybody's like, I can't hear him talk. I mean, it's like, okay, well, I mean, this is the thing. He will be a force, I think.
He will.
He's going to come out of left field, like literally out of left field.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, you guys.
Rachel Levine.
Oh, God.
Came out with a Black History Month message to America. And I guess what that person is saying is that Black people are hit hardest by weather. I don't know how else to take this. Here that person is.
Hello, I'm Admiral Rachel Levine.
Oh my
this
God.
Black History Month, I'm pleased to partner with OMH in advancing better health through better understanding for Black communities. Climate change is having a disproportionate effect on the physical and mental health of Black communities. Black Americans are more likely than white Americans to live in areas and housing that increase their susceptibility to climate-related health issues. And 65% of Black Americans report feeling anxious about climate change's impact. Through our Office of Climate Change and Health Equity and the Office of Environmental Justice, we're working with providers and community leaders to identify innovative approaches that empower communities to address the health consequences linked to climate change.
Okay, let me get this straight. So a white dude pretending to be a woman is telling Black people that weather is meaner to them than it is to white people. And so therefore, somehow taxpayers probably need to give more of their money to the government and staple it to the clouds. Actually, I'm sorry, staple it to the clouds, which in essence will give it to the government. That's what this individual is saying. And the thing is,
you summed that up pretty well.
And people believe it. This is our military, you guys. This is our, like, how crazy have we become? When you see that and people are like, oh yeah, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Like
did you see the two, what the two names of those agencies? Like, I don't even remember what he said. The Office of Environmental Justice and like Health Equity, this or that. I was like, these are the names that come right out of 1984. Like, you can't make them up.
We are so stupid.
Right?
We have become so dumb, and then the minute somebody attacks us, like the minute that we have to go into war, that individual is the person that's going to be leading us into war. Like that's the kind of person that's leading us.
That's not actual military.
I
That's just an
understand,
honorary
but
title.
I'm saying that's the kind of person that's the kind of person in the
Those
military.
are the kind of people that are held up, that are propped up.
That's
for sure.
Because when we talked to Matt Lohmeyer, like this is the kind of person that you are going to see leading us. Like when I see Rachel, that's who I see as a military person now. Because honestly, it's like all the DEI and like we have to think about climate change, and climate change is the biggest threat to our national security. And it's like, is it? But is weather really? Because I feel like weather's not. You know what I mean?
It's not.
Right.
This is like apropos of nothing, but I wanted to share it because I thought this is such a good argument to all of those morons out there who you've heard them, the anti-2A people who will try to say, if you think your AR-15 is gonna, if you're using the right to bear arms and that you're allowed to have guns in case of the threat of government, your AR-15 is not going to do anything against tanks and nukes, right? So this you've heard this argument before, I'm sure. People are like, it doesn't matter, you're never going to be able to beat off the government. I shouldn't have phrased it that way. Let me rewind. Forget I ever said it that way. Beat back.
You can't do that. You cannot beat off the government, you guys. You heard it here first. Yeah. Can't do that.
Please undo.
Stop trying to do that, you guys.
I'm gonna just unsay that if I could.
Right.
But anyway, I saw this tweet about it and I was like, this is such a good point. And so I wanted to give it to you all so that you have it in your arsenal of retorts to the idiots who say those kinds of things. Here it is. So your little guns are useless against the government people are always the same ones who believe the U.S. government was almost overthrown on January 6th by an unarmed mob led by a vegan shaman in a buffalo hat.
That could be my favorite thing I'll see today. It's the greatest thing
ever.
ever. It's so great. It's so great.
Right? I mean, it's just absolutely perfect.
Listen,
so,
he was really scary looking in that hat.
He was scary.
That
it
hat
had
was,
horns. That could be a weapon.
Horns are terrifying. Terrifying. Just ask every longhorn cow. And they're like, what? I'm terrifying looking. Mm-hmm. So scary.
Also, you might have heard an interview that was done between a Harvard professor of economics and Barry Weiss that was really, really interesting. So this Harvard professor, in case you haven't seen it, I'll just give you a screenshot that gives the gist of the story.
He's an ex-professor though now, right? I mean, he's not there anymore, is he?
Back. I think he's back because they suspended him and then he was allowed back. So I think he's back, or maybe he's just decided not to do this anymore. But in essence, he's a Black econ professor who did a study to find out, is there racial bias in police shootings? And he discovered through very rigorous studies
twice.
He did it twice. Yeah. And you're going to hear him talk about that. But in fact, officers were almost 25% less likely to shoot at Blacks and 8.5% less likely to shoot at Hispanics than they were to shoot at whites. And he was threatened essentially to not put out the research because this didn't go with the narrative, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a little bit of a longer clip, but there's no way to cut it. So here he is talking to Barry Weiss about how he did this research and the stunning results that were stunning even to him. Like he was very, very surprised by the outcome of the research.
I collected a lot of data. We collected millions of observations on everyday use of force that wasn't lethal. We collected thousands of observations on lethal force. And it was in this moment in 2016 that I realized people lose their minds when they don't like the result. So what my paper showed, you'll see tomorrow, like some of you, was that, yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force, every day pushing up against cars and things like that. People seem to like that result. But we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year. When I found this surprising result, I hired 8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure. They came up with the same exact answer, and I thought it was robust. And I went to go give it, and my God, all hell broke loose. It was a 104-page, dense academic economics paper with a 150-page appendix, okay? It was posted for 4 minutes when I got my first email. This is full of shit. Doesn't make any sense. And I wrote back, how'd you read it that fast? That's amazing. You are a genius. And I had colleagues take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career.
Unreal.
I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's wrong with it? Do you believe the first part? Yes. Do you believe the second part? Well, the issue is they just don't fit together. We like the first one, but you should publish the second one another time. I said, let me ask this. If the second part about the police shootings, this is a literal conversation. I said to them, if the second part showed bias, do you think I should publish it then? And they say, yeah, then it would make sense. And I said, I guarantee you I'll publish it. We'll see what happens. So it was, you know, I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days.
Unreal.
I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for, because, you know, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy.
God.
It was
That's
really,
nuts.
truly crazy.
Just not okay.
It's not okay.
Because it goes against the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, are you playing that other clip with the...
Yeah, because interestingly enough, Karma came up in that same discussion that he was having with Barry Weiss, because it was Claudine Gay who was the one to file all these charges, suspend him from being able to be a teacher over like sexual harassment charges, blah, blah, blah. And so Barry asked him about that.
The details in this story is that you were suspended by a woman who I had never heard of until recently. Her name is Claudine Gay, and she said this in a letter to the economics department at the time. Professor Fryer exhibited a pattern of behavior that failed to meet the expectations of conduct within our community and was harmful to the well-being of its members. The totality of these behaviors is a clear violation of institutional norms and a betrayal of trust of the Harvard community. So I guess I want to ask, do you believe in karma?
Here we go.
I hear it's a motherfucker.
Yeah, it is indeed, right?
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. All right, it's time for your double Ds. We're so behind, but we have to get to double Ds and then some talks, and then we have a big story about New York Police Department extracurriculars.
Yes. Okay. My double D is this week, Chris Farley. I'm a huge Chris Farley fan, you guys. I know, God rest his soul. He would have been 60 years old this week. Can you guys even believe that? He would have been
what a
60.
waste.
Total waste. But I saw this clip the other day of him, and it just made me think of how back in the day, everybody used to kind of get along, whether you were on the right side of the aisle or the left side of the aisle. Everybody sort of got along, and we could have fun with one another. And it just made me reminisce. And I thought maybe you guys would want to see it too. He's playing the part of Newt Gingrich.
Good. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right.
Look how happy Newt is.
I mean, look at all of us. Everybody in there. Newt Gingrich. This is before he got so skinny. Remember, he was so like, he was just like a regular size.
Thank y'all for coming. This is a huge turnout. By God, thank you. This is great. This is just great. I'm glad to see you all here. I'm reading a few new books right now. You might want to be interested in. You got Daniel Steele's Chances. That's a great new book. And Jackie Collins, Hollywood Husbands. Very interesting book. And, of course, my new dinosaur book. So I recommend all of them. They're all just great books. And Okay, first up, HR 765, which would cut taxes for the middle class, lower the deficit, and at the same time, all in favor. I can't hear you. All right. Also, a motion that tax cut bill doesn't have to go through Senate. All in favor? All right. All opposed? You know what? I don't care. You don't get to vote. Okay, let's go.
I mean,
We're
but
burning
look at all of them.
daylight. Okay,
They're all
HR
like happy,
832
sort
to
of
keep
getting
reporters
along.
away from my mother.
Yeah.
So, there's when he said something about Sonny Bono.
Oh my God.
Remember
Was that
Sonny
Biden?
Bono?
Take credit for ending the baseball strike.
Oh, I don't know.
Come on, people, stop thinking about the next 100 days.
I thought I saw
the next 100
Biden.
seconds. We got 2 minutes left. HR 763 changed the results of the 88 election so that Michael Dukakis won no states. All in favor? All right. Motion to change the hail to the chief to hail to the speaker, huh? All right. HR 424 to make Saturday Night Live's ratings better. All in favor? Yeah. All right, and finally, HR 631, motion to make Sonny Bono come up here and sing I've Got You Newts. All in favor? All right, we did it.
And that's pretty much it. But I saw that and I was like, God, everything was so different back then. Like, we could never do that now.
Yeah,
Everybody
man,
just
the
hates
before
one
times.
another, and it was the before times, and it really is a stark contrast to the way things are now. And so I just wanted to show that to you guys. And I loved Chris Farley. I really loved him. He just didn't have somebody love him enough to keep him here. You know, he just needed. Did you know, just fun fact, this is maybe not a fun fact, but it's a fact. Did you know that David Spade did not go to his funeral? Did you know that?
Why?
Because he said he could not go into a room where Farley was in a box. Because they were best friends. And I just thought that was an interesting fact. So
wow.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh.
I know.
It's so sad.
The
So,
before
so
times.
sad.
I'm sorry. Well, we still have his comedy. I just loved him. So I still watch his stuff and I'm like, he was so great. He was one of the greatest. So anyway.
He really was. Tommy boy. God bless him.
I know.
Quick reminder before we get to some talks that mypillow.com/chicks is the site that you want to check out this morning. That's where they have, by the way, the really cool beach towel that also folds up into a carrying, like a little, like a little tote bag, which is super, super cute. That's one of the things that's on mega sale right now, in addition to all of the pillows, the bedding, the sheets, the towels, all of it. So huge, big, huge sales when you use code CHICKS at mypillow.com/chicks. Before I even show you the screen, because you're going to be horrified as soon as I open it, I need to tell you that I have discovered a fellow on TikTok by the name of Captain Blue Eyes. And Captain Blue Eyes lives in my future town. Okay. So
oh my God.
He owns a sign company. He is quite well to do. He was a champion jouster back in the day.
Okay.
This is the most surprising fact, and you'll understand when I show him to you. He is surprisingly married, has been for a long time, has kids, I think even some grandkids, but he likes to wear Speedos and go boating on the Beaufort and Broad Rivers. So I will likely see him in person some of the time. So not only does he do the boating stuff, which I'll show you first, and why he dresses so scantily, I don't know, but he also likes to sing and dance. So I'm just going to share him with you.
Okay.
Here he is on his boat.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Miriam.
I am out in the middle of the Broad River. You gotta believe how pretty this is. I'm gonna show you. Let me turn it around right quick. Look how smooth this water is. Isn't that awesome?
It's beautiful.
And this place is
It's
like
very
the ocean. It can be
But
so
why?
It's a perfect day
Why?
for little boats, I can tell you that.
Why does he always dress this way?
I love it. I love being out here. It is so good.
Somebody, I love the first comment. What state are you in? He's in the state of insanity, is what he is. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what he looks like. But then what he does is he does these little dances, and then sometimes he likes to do karaoke. So
and he's straight. You sure he's straight? Luke, is he straight?
He's married with kids and grandkids,
I know,
and he seems. There's a lot of pictures of him and his wife. They seem very, very happy. Here is. Oh my God.
Why? Oh my God. I hope you meet this guy. I want you to get a picture with this guy. That is not a straight dude. It's just not. He's singing Tequila. He's going to sing Tequila Sunrise right now.
It's another tequila sunrise. Staring slowly across the sky.
Okay, you know what it's giving? I'm gonna do a Gen Alpha thing. It's giving vibes, right? You know what it's giving?
Right.
It puts the lotion on, or it gets the hose vibes. That's what it's giving.
He's so creepy, but also there's something. People apparently have great affection for him because I was horrified when I stumbled across his TikTok. But then so many of the comments are like, he's so nice and he's so, like people love him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he's just like a neighborhood staple, like he's just known around there. I don't know. But I suspect we're going to see him, and
like we're sure he hasn't made like a suit of skin from other people. We're sure.
I can't be certain. I can't be certain. Okay. I really can't.
All right.
Also, I think this all of us, hide your kids, hide your wives. I love her.
I'm so fucking tired of your fucking bullshit.
So you. That is so you. She sings that in her car every day. Mock does.
Cracked me up. Also, there's a fellow that does Bible verses in Gen Z language, which I thought tied in very nicely to our recent deep dive of Gen Z terms.
Totally.
So he is giving the 10 Commandments, an overview of the 10 Commandments a la Gen Z.
Love it.
The 10 Commandments in the Gen Z version. This is going to bother some people, and that's not my intention. I don't want to bother anybody. Commandment 1, be all in with the big guy, no other gods. Commandment 2, don't be throwing around God's name like it's no big deal. Commandment 3, chill out on the 7th day.
I love it.
Big guy. Commandment 4, respect your squad, especially your fam, because they're key. Commandment 5, no capping or fake news with the squad. Keep it 100. Commandment 6, no drama with the squad. Keep it real and don't off anyone.
I love
7, stay loyal in your relationships. No sliding into DMs on the low.
I love this.
8, keep it real, fam. Don't be copping stuff that ain't yours. Commandment 9, don't be spreading lies or gossip. Keep the vibes positive. Commandment 10, stay in your lane. Don't be eyeing other people's stuffs. Leave a comment below on what you want to see.
Isn't that great?
You have to send that to me. You have to. Okay. I have to send that to Gwen.
He's got all the different verses and things. Yeah, he's
I love that. I love that so much. I have to send that to her immediately.
And then I know this is a little on the morbid side maybe, but I loved this idea so much. So somebody was walking through a cemetery and saw like a QR code on a headstone.
Really?
And apparently this is now something that you can do. I can't remember the name of it, but you'll see it in the comments. But you can save your favorite memories of a person who's passed away on this, and all you need to do is have it saved in this QR code. You can have as many pictures or videos as you want. And then when somebody scans it, they can see the favorite memories of whoever is there in that grave. And I just think that is really beautiful. I love this.
I think that's beautiful too.
I'm going to mute it because we can't have the music, but that's what it looks like. So it's called Last Memory. And so when you clicked on it, you saw this happy little couple doing their little walk. Isn't it the coolest thing ever?
That is just the neatest thing. How neat is that?
I loved it, and I had to share it because I thought, man, can you imagine? It's already so interesting to walk through cemeteries anyway, to see some of the captions and all that stuff.
To see them alive.
I would go to a cemetery and never leave if this was on all the gravestones.
Because you want to see like what they were like when they were alive. Yeah. Like, how neat is that? That's really cool.
Isn't that incredible?
What a cool thing.
I just thought that was the neatest thing ever.
Yeah, that really is. That's very cool.
Those are your talk. That's not funny. It's mocking God. I wouldn't show that. Come on. It's not mocking God.
What? The 10 Commandments?
The 10 Commandments.
That's not mocking God.
It's not mocking. It's actually helping people who may not otherwise want to learn them to learn them.
I have a Gen Alpha girl that would absolutely love that. And she would send that to her friends who love Jesus. They would think that that's the coolest thing. That's not mocking God. That's bringing more people to God. Stop it.
Yeah. People get mad about the dumbest stuff.
Stop it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is, she says. Marianne is really, really serious about it. We are
Okay,
totally misguided.
Okay, well, that's great. You think I'm misguided. You can take that up with Jesus, and I'll take it up with Jesus too, and we'll just go separate ways on that. Okay, all right.
I think whatever way that you're bringing people to God, I think God would be smiling down about that.
I think so too.
All right, we've got to talk about this video that went viral over the weekend of the New York City Police dance team. So I did not know there was a dance team. I'm going to have to play this on mute, unfortunately, which I hate to do. But
what were they dancing to? What's the music?
They were
Just
dancing for. Oh shit! What is that song?
That they were dancing to that
song. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Know.
Maybe I do.
Okay. Flo Rida. It was Flo Rida.
Okay. All right. Okay. I hear you. So it was a Flo Rida song.
It was a Flo Rida song.
Okay.
That's all you need to know. And so they went on a local news show to show their talent of dancing. And here is what went viral. So these are actual NYPD cops. These are actual cops.
Is it all women, or do we have any transgenders out there? All women.
I believe this is all legit women. So they were strutting their stuff. You can hear, I'll just try to play a little tiny bit. The club can't even handle me right now. That's the song. Okay. So just imagine that playing. And so this is them.
The club can't handle.
The club cannot handle this
that
right now.
They can't. The club is not going to be handling that.
They're not handling it. And so there were a lot of comments from people who were like, there's a lot going on in New York City right now.
There's a whole lot going on.
Like, I don't know if you guys knew that.
Like a whole lot. They even have like their matching uniforms. Somebody had to pay for that, right? Taxpayers paid for those uniforms. But those are some cute little uniforms they got going on there. It's like a cheerleading squad. And then listen, they had to practice this. There's time involved.
They practice 3 times a week for at least 2 hours each time. They do it off hours, right? They do it off the clock. So they're not taking away from their actual shifts. However, people were in an absolute uproar about this because New York City is such a mess right now, and the optics are really, 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 really bad.
The optics. Plus, they can't dance. So the optics aren't just bad, but these women are really bad.
Number 24 was okay.
Okay.
Number 24 was all right.
That's why they put her front and center, so she can distract from all the bad dancers around her.
Right.
Because they're bad,
they're not
you
great.
guys.
They're not
great.
great.
Number 24 is actually, she's all right. She's good. 24 is good. The rest of them,
the rest of them look like me doing Zumba. You know what I mean? It's not great.
You do Zumba. You're pretty good. You can.
I look pretty much like this.
You can rock a single double. You can do it.
I could do a single double, but I look pretty much like this.
You could put like a white girl bop into a grapevine. I've seen you do it. The little white man's over by. To like a grapevine. I've seen you do that. You know.
So let's have the counter argument, because I always like to see all sides, right? And so. Initially I was just like, this is insanity. Like, I cannot believe they're doing this. But then I read they've got all these extracurricular kinds of clubs for cops. There's dudes that play football together, right? Or there's a chess club, or they have all kinds of different sports clubs.
Kind of like an intramural softball team for a company.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so what this particular club does is they perform at like parades or other little community events, and they say that it's part of an effort to not only de-stress from the rigors of their job, which let's face it, being a New York City cop is not easy. And so they talk about how they need the mental release. They also are looking for ways to stay fit. Some of them have a lot of work to do on that.
Yeah, I could see. Listen, that was the first thing that came to my brain, was like, okay, well, this is a way to stay fit. It's kind of like taking if they're doing 2 hours 3 times a week, that's pretty good workout that they're getting.
That's pretty good workout.
And plus camaraderie. I imagine these ladies are pretty close to one another if they're hanging out for 2 hours 3 times a week. They probably go out afterwards, have a drink, or like have a meal together or whatever, and they're probably becoming close to one another, which is kind of nice when you work with people. So you're right. Yeah. I mean, there's like another side to this that people aren't considering. But why do they have to? I mean, I guess dance is performance, so they have to perform somewhere. But it makes me go, oh God, it's just one of those things. Like in softball, they're not performing. If they're doing a basketball game, they're not performing. This requires an element of performance. And so they have to perform somewhere. And I guess that's the cringe part of it, is that we have to see it.
Right. And then it's being, you know, that it's being broadcast on a news show.
Right.
They talk about them wanting to outreach to the community and show them, look, we're normal people that just like to dance and let loose, and see, we're just like you, and like, you shouldn't be afraid of us, and all that kind of stuff. So I get it, but I just think the spotlight on just the women's dance team makes it seem like this is some unique and special and taxpayer funded extracurricular thing that everyone, the timing is just so bad.
Yeah,
to be putting a spotlight on it now when crime is so at an all-time high.
You know what would make it better is if they competed against other cities. Like if they did dance offs.
They want to.
They should have a dance off, like between like the NYPD dance team against, say, like the Houston, you know, dance team.
I think that they do
have a
that,
dance
and
off. It'd be like the West Side Story, you know, like dance, like a dance off. That'd be awesome.
They want to do that, and they've talked about like hoping that the New York Fire Department also does a similar thing, and then they could have competitions against the fire department. So I mean, there's some good things, right?
I guess,
it's just that the timing and the
optics
spotlight
is
not great.
I mean, listen, they're not going to have the dance team much longer, because let's face it, New York is going to implode at some point. So enjoy it while you can, ladies, because your city's going to. It's going.
And also, I think, you know, one of the, and maybe I shouldn't say this, I'm not trying to like body shame, but some of these women I look at and I think, could you catch a bad guy? Like, can you run quickly? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing that you're shaking your booty and you're doing some little spins and stuff. Can you actually catch a bad guy?
Did they have a physical fitness test to get into like the police academy? Right. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's just a lot of angles on this story, but this is a story that caught a lot of people's attention, and not in a good way, which I don't think they expected. I think they thought, yay, we're being featured on local news. This is so great. Yeah. And then now they're getting all the blowback, and it's not so fun for them.
Well, I mean, 24, if that police thing doesn't work out, she could actually go, you know,
she could go dance.
She can go dance somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Probably make more money.
Well, don't discourage her from being a cop. We need all the cops we can get in New York City.
I won't do that.
Anyway, that was
that
was an interesting story that happened.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. All right, are we bringing it in?
We are bringing
it in, you guys. Stuck in my chair. Okay, we're bringing it in. Everybody, I should probably go get Astrid. I don't know who's here. Let me go see. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Yeah, we need to have some flappity flaps on this Monday, this President's Day. We need President's Day flappity flaps. Who are we getting?
I forgot that my daughter is off school, so everybody's here.
Everybody's here.
Everybody's here, so you get to see everybody.
There's Astrid, though. She's getting her face in there.
She's getting her face. She's probably not going to flap, though, because now Coda's attacking her. Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so
I can't
everybody,
see him.
Stop attacking her leg. Stop it. He's so bad, you guys. He's attacking your leg. So everybody just have a wonderful Monday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.